you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Nobody ever tells me anything. I'm your host, Tyler Falk, and today we're going to talk with one of the newest members of the Louisiana Revolution, former general manager of the Las Vegas Fury, none other than Matthew Slinn, otherwise known as Slinn Shady. Matthew, how you doing tonight?
I am excellent, Tyler. Pleasure to be on the show. I'm just grateful to be here.
It's great to have you on the show and a part of the Louisiana locker room. So let's just go ahead and get right into it, shall we? And
yeah.
So everybody pretty much knows you from your content creator. You do a lot of stuff for the league. Matt, go ahead and tell us a little about that before we get into
it. Well, I mean, if anyone didn't know, I mean, first of all, my first name does have two T's in it, Tyler. Come on. Where is the what's the word? Quality check. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't want to go on about that. Yeah, so
that can be fixed. I can pull two things at one time. Keep going, Matt.
So yeah, I create content. In case anyone didn't know. Now it's probably not as regular as I would like because it's written, and I just feel like written content is its own beast. I think it's sometimes you really need to be in the mood for it. I think often when you're doing a podcast, it's very sort of in the moment. Whereas with written content, sometimes you just get writer's block or writer's burnout, and I don't always produce 100 like every week, so people might not know that I do that much. But yeah, most of the written content on the website, on the league website at least, comes through me. And sort of that's my contribution to content within the SFL.
Awesome. So as I continue to work on some technical issues over
I shouldn't have said anything.
It's all good. It's all good. So not only do you do content creation here for the league, you do a lot of written stuff, a lot of great articles over on the official SFL website, link to which is down in the description. But Slinn, before season 18, you were over in Las Vegas, and you were the general manager over there for a couple seasons. Most notably, you brought in Colin Pierce in season 16, along with Tom Blitzkrieg, fantastic defensive back, made the All-Star game. And then when Colin Pierce decided to leave the league to pursue other opportunities, you brought in his replacement, Joseph Green. And you guys over in Las Vegas have really become, in my opinion, one of the most stingy teams to go here in the last couple of seasons, even making the playoffs this past season and really taking it to a couple of teams. What can you tell us about being a general manager in Las Vegas and how well the organization treated you and how well you liked your time over there in Las Vegas?
I mean, I know off camera you just said that, this show has kind of reinvigorated your love for the SFL even more doing this, and becoming the GM in Vegas was what reinvigorated my love for the SFL as well. I was in a bit of a slump with it. I was just a player and I was just progressing and not really getting involved. And when I got the opportunity 3 seasons ago to be the GM in Vegas, I just fell in love with the SFL all over again. And the ownership was were very good at letting me do my own thing, and realised that I'd been a GM before in London, so I could prove to them that I knew what I was talking about. And I mean, being in Vegas for a start was great. Being able to sort of help change the culture from a team that didn't have much locker room presence, went through kind of high value players season to season, to going through the draft and retaining players and building that culture there was just great. And I think I just loved it. When you're a GM, I just love the off season. The off season is almost more exciting than the regular season and the playoffs for a GM, because you're just so involved and it's your time to shine, and to see the fruits of your labor, to see a team build around your vision is the greatest reward. And I absolutely loved my time as a GM in Vegas.
And speaking of general manager, like you said, you absolutely loved it over there. You had a really good thing going. What are you looking for? Not just from when you were a general manager, but what most entices you, or what are some qualities you think go into making a good general
manager? First of all, you need to be a people person. I don't think you can be a general manager without having that personality where you can get the best out of someone in a conversation. You have to be a good listener as well as a good talker. You have to know to ask the right questions and when to ask the right questions. You have to be available really to be sort of on Discord, or at least in your own locker room most days, just to, because you bring so many players into the team, they look to you. They look to you as a bit of sort of a leader in that respect as well. And I just think you need to have that outgoing personality, and that's the first step, really. After that, the sort of half the battle's already won. And just enjoy it, like anything. Just enjoy it. Make sure you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy the position, go do something else.
Absolutely. And the reason that I'm asking all these questions about general managership is your decision to leave Las Vegas after season 17, and your decision to everyone you talked to was pretty much the same. Like, I was a general manager in Las Vegas, I was a general manager in London. In my next role, I don't want to be a general manager, or don't have to be a general manager. And what led you to that decision when you were searching for a new team? And to follow up with that, what led you to Louisiana?
I mean, so when I joined Vegas 3 seasons ago, I laid it out and said, give me 3 seasons, I'll improve the team. After 3 seasons, then I might be testing my options. Because when I entered the league, I didn't want to be a one-team player. I wanted to sort of drift around and go to different teams and just almost get more out of the league. And I like meeting new people, so it's sort of, that's part and parcel of it. So it was nothing that Vegas did at all. And then I didn't really know what I wanted next. I mean, if the right general manager position had come up, potentially, maybe I would have stayed on as a GM with a different team. But the fact that in Louisiana, I've got so many friends over there who I'm close to in the league, and it just made me think that, you know what, I just want a season where I can be with friends, watch games and voice chat without sort of stressing too much about where all the progression plans are going and things like that, and just have at least a season doing that to almost detox from being a GM. And then potentially in the future, by no means am I ruling out going back to that position at some point, whether that's with Louisiana or whether that's with a different team. By the way, Louisiana, this does not mean I'm going to be leaving at the end of the season, just so you know.
Fantastic. And again, you mentioned going back friends, probably Brian Craven, who you spoke to at length on one of his recent shows, and a couple other guys in our locker room. And before we go on to your picks that you made as part of being part of the Content Creators Showcase roundtable, I should say, what is most what are you most excited for now that you're part of the Revs locker room, now that you're part of our organization? What are you most excited for seeing the draft, seeing the free agency, and not having to worry about, I have to select any person. I can let Ross and Gerald take care of that. What are you most excited for here in season 18 for just for the Revolution?
I think I'm excited to see how the duo running back situation works. Something that's pretty unprecedented, something that's not been done to this level before, where you've got two gold running backs who are taking up all that cap space, and just to see if that's a cost-effective thing, even from a GM perspective, to see if that's a cost-effective strategy. And then two, this Louisiana defense is on paper pretty darn scary. So I'm very excited to see us on the field and just wrecking teams' offensive plans.
So we've made a couple of predictions. You weren't able to join us live for the official content creator roundtable, but you still made some predictions, and you do have Louisiana, right up there with Atlanta in your predictions. So we'll get to the East Division shortly, but we'll go ahead and tackle the Atlantic Division first. And
sure,
where do you see the Atlantic Division shaping out this season?
I have to say, I noticed that a lot of my picks happen to be similar to Eddie Gage's, and I don't know if he has that. I didn't think he had that much of an influence on me, but clearly, as I imagine Eddie has influence on everyone in this league, I am also affected by this. So I heard what he said about Florida and how Mighty is going to take a bit of a backward step, and even if he doesn't take too much of a backward step, when you see these teams that were front runners like Denver, for instance, when they have such a change, there is a bit of a teething period. Same with sort of Queen City initially, when they sort of dropped off. I know they had a bit of a resurgence last year. So I've got Charleston topping that division with a 7-5 record, nothing too fancy. And then I've got Florida coming in, making the playoffs, but making the playoffs as a wild card team at 6-6. Jacksonville, I think, are maybe a season away still. And Carolina, I've got nothing personal against Carolina. I just think they're so unlucky that I just can't back that horse. I just can't. So they're 5-7, so they're not a million miles away. But Carolina, I can just see them losing in the last week to miss the playoffs again.
Yeah, you're not the only one, Slinn, to pick Carolina going 5-7. I was just taking a quick relook at everybody. I know Nelson has them going 5-7. I think I even have them going 5-7 as far as the official ranks. I got them going 6-6, but same right there around 500, maybe just under. But it seems like they have a dark cloud that just continues to follow them. And it's unfortunate. They're a good ball club. They're I used to say. Back on earlier versions of NETMA that they're maybe just a one-trick pony, trying to they're always a swing pass or screen pass type of team, but they've seemed to mix it up a little bit. So maybe with the recent changes they've made to their play style, maybe the swing passes will be more effective instead of trying to use them solely for putting them down the field. All right, Slinn, let's go ahead and tackle the North. And it seems like you've got a kind of a toss-up, like how it was last season between the two unbeaten teams that sat at the midway point of season 17, Baltimore and Queen City.
I think part of this is influenced by my interview in free agency with Queen City. I was just so impressed by them, by the direction that they want to take this organization in. The way their front office works is how I would want to work when I'm a GM and I'm in a front office. So having them and Baltimore have a slight drop off, maybe they're not quite as overpowered as they were this season, and having them tie the division at 8-4. I just put Queen City as 1 because I didn't exactly count back and try and figure out all the tiebreakers, but I just put Queen City as 1. I've got DC scraping into the playoffs with a 6-6 record. I see them. Was it about 7 games they lost by 1 score or something?
Something
season?
Similar, yeah.
Something ridiculous, yeah. So I just see them, if they can topple 2 or 3 of those games into winning results, then I've got them as 6-6. London, whilst I do think I've got a soft spot for London, obviously, whilst I do think they're a good team, I just think that they're in the North Division. The North Division is one of the most tasty in the league, and their record came out as 4-8. I didn't really plan for that to happen, but when it was all said and done, that's just the way it went. And London, unfortunately, were coming bottom of the North, according to me.
They get the Tex-Mex, the South Division, and the West Division. Two very tough divisions in their own right. So
Exactly. Yeah,
it could either go really well for them or really poorly for them. All right, let's talk about the most important divisions. Let's talk about our division, the East Division. Swarm, Revolution, Gladiators, just Desperados. Let's get your take on who's coming out on top for our division.
Right. Well, I've got Louisiana coming out on top, but I've got them the same. Yeah, I've got to go with the home pick, but I've got Atlanta as well as at 9-3 with Louisiana. Atlanta, I think over in Atlanta, they seem to think that I've got a bit of a vendetta or something against them, and I don't. Honestly, I don't. Atlanta were the first team I ever played as a player, and we got destroyed by BDG Hollywood. So, I don't think as a player I've ever beaten Atlanta actually. So I've got utmost respect for that team. I can see both Louisiana and Atlanta getting 9-3. I've got St. Louis actually making the playoffs. I've got 3 teams from the East making the playoffs. I've got St. Louis making the playoffs at 7-5. I just think the coaching over there is solid enough to keep them in that kind of hovering around 500, just the right side of 500 range. And then Tulsa, I've got them nicking a couple of wins here or there. But I don't know. I just think that I always back Tulsa to do well, and they always let me down. So I'm just going against them this season.
Hopefully they do well. In my opinion, Tulsa won the draft, and so things have to start going up for Tulsa at some point, right? Just not currently in your eyes,
huh? Like I say, I normally back them to do better than most people say they're going to do. Whereas this season, they've let me down one too many times.
Fair enough. All right, back half of the divisions here, Slinn. You got the South Division, otherwise known as Tex-Mex. You're in the same category as pretty much everybody else was, besides Ray Bentley, who is not backing his own ball club over there in Mexico City. But everyone, including yourself, has picked the Aztecs to just roll this league.
Ray Bentley works in mysterious ways, so it doesn't surprise me that he's not backed his own team. So Mexico City, I just think whenever I think about Mexico City, I just think playoffs, because I'm pretty sure since I've joined the league, which is a long time ago, about 8 seasons, they've never missed the playoffs. So, and that's when in the past they've had questionable GM decisions, questionable team builds. Ramos has still managed to coach them into playoffs. So now I think they've got a good build. I can see them going 9-3 and winning the division. I've got Fort Worth having somewhat of a resurgence and getting back to 500, but just missing the playoffs. Houston, they've come out as 4-8, although you could convince me that they could get close to 500 at that. And then I do think Lone Star are going to struggle. It's just more of a gut feeling. So, and I know, us content creators get sort of killed for just having gut feelings and not really backing up our claims. But I don't know. I feel like Lone Star, the buzz around Lone Star seems to have dipped recently. And I just think this season that's going to sort of show out, and I've got them coming bottom of the South.
It's always a very tricky one to pick behind Mexico City, and you've done pretty well here in saying that Houston's going to go 6-6. Hopefully Dave Burr will finally lead that club back to the playoffs and get DR Sim some more playoff time. All right, West Division, Eddie Gage's division. You're also in the camp here, Slinn, that you're thinking that because of the departure of the Hands brothers, that Eddie Gage is going to, well, not necessarily struggle, but not come out with a winning record.
Yeah, I have. Well, I've got him as 7-5, which is a winning record. So.
I'm reading the wrong. That's mine. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah. I got him going 6-6.
No wonder you've agreed with me on all of these. You've been reading your own. Sorry. Anyway, I've got Arizona at 7-5. So again, not storming away with it, but winning the division. Denver and Vegas. I think because Vegas's defense has suffered so many losses in terms of like me and Rhett and Eric Davis and Tom Krieg, who was unbelievable last season. Probably the best slot corner / third safety in the league, in my opinion. It might be too much to overcome, and I think they'll have a lot of close losses. But I can see them getting 5-7. Same with Denver. I don't think Denver are quite there yet, although I think they will be better. I think the schedule dictates they'll go 5-7. And then Sioux Falls. I just can't see it with Sioux Falls. I've got them as 3-9. I don't think they'll be the worst in the SFL this season, but I just don't think they seem to be in a funk since it's gone to the new difficulty level. So, I just can't see them getting out of that funk just yet.
How do you replace Colin Hart after he goes to our club here, Slinn? That's their lifeblood. That's their main go-to guy that they've had for so many seasons. And
I guess just change the game plan and maybe make someone else the focal point.
Maybe I think they're going to have to, especially this season.
But then, judging on Tyree's QBR over the last few seasons, I don't know if that's necessarily the right answer. But we'll see. Yeah,
and there could be some debate about Sioux Falls, and they were definitely last couple of seasons, especially when they were dominant back in season 14-15. Their entire offense, of course, was focused on the run, followed up by maybe a play action pass from Tyree. With their offense pretty much well snuffed out last couple of seasons, it's been hard for them to have that type of game plan.
Yeah, I mean, Tyree's always been very good in the past at just coming through in the clutch moments, third down, touchdowns, but it's without the sort of the rest of the offense pushing him into those moments or even getting him into those situations the last couple of seasons, then the sort of his players suffered, and we'll just have to see who's the running back they got over there now.
They picked up GP Wells in the draft.
So
balance / speedster type of back, so definitely not Colin.
Okay, so I mean, good luck to him, and he might well do very well, but once again, it remains to be seen, and obviously it's harder to go against Colin Hart because he's an established elite back compared to Wells, who's brand new to the league.
Exactly. All right. Now, when I was taking a look at your predictions, and I assure you, I'm looking at yours, Slinn, because you don't have Vancouver taking the Pacific Division. You have the upstart,
I don't.
You have the upstart Fleet taking it all.
I just have this. There's something about Portland, even from their very first season when it was a bit of a tough one. They were in some games, and they were in games against really good teams, and they've always had I think I've always liked the defense, especially the secondary. Players that in reality were no-name players coming into the league, and then they've just built this really rabid secondary that just takes your heart away. If they pick so many balls off. It's a bit like the Vegas secondary was last season, and now they've got Ezekiel Love, who's such a good running back, and now they're an established team in the SFL. They've been on the up for the last 2 seasons, and I just see that trajectory improving at the expense of Vancouver and LA. Not to say that Vancouver aren't going to make the playoffs. I've got them making the playoffs. I've got LA going 500, but just missing out. And then San Diego, I can see them having another sort of 4-8, 5-7 kind of season. I still think San Diego. I can't see San Diego having such a jump to overtake the other 3 teams in the division.
All right, Slinn, we got one more question for you here. And how are the playoffs are going to go? You can go ahead and just go wild here, because I like your hot take that you gave us here in the document I've sent to everybody. But I have to agree with you. We agree on the season SFL champion. I don't have to look at my sheet to
do we? Okay, out. Cool.
So, but yeah, give us the rundown for the playoffs in your opinion.
Okay, so I mean, let's just go straight to the championship game. I've got Mexico City winning it all. I just think it's their time. I think they've been in the playoffs so much, and they won way back in season 9. And what's double 9? 18. So the time has come. Every 9 years, it's like Jeepers Creepers or something. Every 9 years, Mexico City come just wake up and win the championship. And I just think that Ramos's coaching will do it. I just think they'll get over that hump. And I mean, they were so close last season against Baltimore. I just think they will. And then the hot take, I guess, is that DC making the playoffs, turning those narrow losses around. And whilst making the playoffs, they go against the number 5 seed Baltimore, who will be number 5 seed because they will be Queen City will take the division, and they just scrape a miracle road win in Baltimore to get through to the quarterfinals. Wow. We've seen miracle road wins in the SFL before. We might see one again.
We'll have to see what happens. Slinn, thanks for joining me here this Thursday evening. Any final words from you tonight?
I guess what do I want to say about NETMA? I'll say about NETMA. I'm really glad to be on the show. I've criticised your takes in the past, Tyler, but then again, who hasn't? We're content creators, and I think we like a bit of criticism every now and again thrown at us, a bit of pushback. So, but I mean, I think you're doing a great thing. I really like the idea of doing it every day. I think it's ambitious, but the short episodes, 15 minutes, half an hour, will keep people engaged, and just all power to you, man. Good luck.
Thank you, Slinn. All right, that is just about going to wrap us up for the evening. I want to thank everyone for sticking out here this Thursday evening. I want to thank Matthew Slinn Shady for being on the program. We got one more show in the week. That is going to be our pick'ems for tomorrow, on a special new segment called Now You Know. Something to look forward to. All right, folks, until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.